Hi, I'm Emily. I've been caught out in the rain, but I'm still here to tell you all about the common cuckoo. Summer is a-comin', loudly call cuckoo. That is the oldest English song on record. So for thousands of years, the cuckoo has symbolised the start of spring. Historically, many people believed hearing their first cuckoo meant signs of luck. For example, if you heard your first cuckoo before breakfast, that was incredibly unlucky. If you heard your first cuckoo when you were still in bed, that meant impending illness. If you heard your first cuckoo when you were out on a walk, that was good luck. And a child born on the day of the first cuckoo heard would be lucky its entire life. So we all know the infamous cuckoo call, but did you know that it's only the males that make that call? They make it singing from the very top of treetops. They can sing whilst they're flying, and they're doing it to attract a female. The females, on the other hand, you don't tend to hear them. They tend to stay incredibly well camouflaged and they stay stock still, and that is because they are watching all of the birds. But how on earth does it manage to convince these birds, other than laying its eggs in a similar colour? Well, I mentioned the female stays stock still, and that is because she is watching for the perfect moment to lay her eggs. She times her egg laying in between when that host is laying their eggs. So she can stay perfectly still for up to an hour watching an in particular nest. And when that host flies off, she can go down, lay her egg, pick up one of the host eggs and fly off, all within 10 seconds. And that is so that when the host comes back, it doesn't think that there's an abnormal number of eggs and immediately realise something's wrong. But also, after she does this, she makes her call. It is a bubbling, chuckling call. And it sounds very similar to a sparrowhawk. So she lays her egg, sounds like a sparrowhawk, and that immediately makes the parent think that it needs to protect its own life, so it's distracted. So she kind of has the last laugh, literally. So although just in the UK we have just the one species, the common cuckoo, there's different specialist cuckoos that target different breeds. We have 3 in particular. They target the reed warblers, meadow pipits and dunnocks. So they're all very different. They have very different coloured eggs, and that's why the cuckoo needs to specialise, because it needs to ensure that the eggs that it produces are exactly the same as the host, otherwise they'll get kicked out of the nest. Why would they go through all of this effort and not just raise their own clutch of eggs like all the other birds? Only 1% of birds around the world are brood parasites. And it's a tricky thing to do. It's successful for common cuckoos right now because it's estimated that a female cuckoo can lay up to 25 eggs per season, which is far more than even if she managed to have 3 broods herself. But it's tough work. It was described as an arms race between the parasite and the host because they're constantly battling each other. In evolutionary time, the host is realising what's happening and it's trying to defend itself by changing, the colour of its eggs, the patterning. And the cuckoo has to react to it, otherwise it will lose this amazing skill that it has, and in turn, it won't get any eggs. It's not just the adult cuckoo though that has developed these tricks to deceive the host parent. The young cuckoo, from the second it's born, it's either born earlier than the other eggs, and then it gets a 1-up. And it actually then pushes out the other eggs of the nest. It uses its newly hatched wings. It's still naked, it has no feathers, and it's still blind, but it manages to find these other eggs, put them onto its back, and shove them out. And if any other chicks have hatched in this time, it does exactly the same and just barges them off. So it's quite sad, but this is how the cuckoo works. It's an amazing evolutionary feat. And it's not just that it removes all the other eggs, it still manages to convince the host parent that it is its full brood of chicks. And it does this by this loud range of different calls that mimics a full brood of chicks. So the mum goes out and gets as much food as she would if she had 5 chicks. And that's what's able to get the cuckoo up to its weight, so it's ready to fly all the way back. You might be wondering, why am I talking about cuckoos right now? You might have heard them a few months ago, a few weeks ago, but you might not have heard them recently. Well, there's the classic poem to know what cuckoos are doing. Cuckoo, cuckoo, what do you do? In April, I open my bill. In May, I sing night and day. In June, I change my tune. In July, far, far I fly. In August, away I must. So right now, the adult parents are beginning to leave the UK because their host parents have stopped having more eggs, so there's no point of them being here. All their clutches are done for the summer, so the adults start flying back. But the juveniles stay. The juveniles never meet their parents. Currently, they are being fed by the host parents, so keep an eye out. You might get to see a giant cuckoo baby being fed by one of its hosts. It's normally 6 times the size of its host, but look out for it right now, and then in a few weeks' time, these juveniles will fly all the way back to their wintering grounds. Well, cuckoos are red-listed birds. There's only around 15,000 breeding pairs in the UK. They're struggling due to habitat loss, lack of their prey. They eat hairy insects and caterpillars, and more struggles on their migrationary routes all the way back to Western Africa. So you're incredibly lucky if you're hearing a cuckoo right now, and we need to treasure it and we need to do more so that we can hear the cuckoo in our landscape ever more.